The warning sirens cut through the morning air on Kepler 442b like a knife. Veltar dropped his morning cup of bitter tea and rushed to the main control room. His long blue fingers moved quickly across the control panel as he read the data. What he saw made his blood run cold. "How many ships?" he asked Captain Thexil, who stood beside him. The insect-like alien's 4 arms worked at different controls at the same time. 36, confirmed. Thexil clicked in his native language. "Maybe more behind them. They will be here in 2 days." Veltar stared at the screen. The red dots showed enemy ships moving toward their small mining colony. He had seen those ship designs before in the worst kind of reports. The Vrak had found them. The Vrak were known across the galaxy as destroyers. They took what they wanted and killed the rest. No one had ever beaten them in a fair fight. They moved from system to system like a disease, leaving nothing but empty planets behind. "Send out the emergency call," Veltar ordered. "All frequencies. Tell everyone we need help." The colony had 50,000 people living on it. There were the tall blue Zephyrians like Veltar, the hard-working Corvin like Thexil, and dozens of other alien races. They all came here to mine the rare metals deep in the planet's crust. It was peaceful work, far from the wars and politics of the inner systems. But peace never lasted forever. Thexil sent the distress call while Veltar walked to the big window that looked out over the colony. Below him, he could see the mining towers reaching into the sky. Flying vehicles moved between the buildings like metal insects. People went about their daily work, not knowing that death was coming for them. "Sir," came a voice from behind him. It was Kala, a young Zephyrian who worked in communications. "We're getting responses to our call." Veltar turned around quickly. "What do they say?" Kala's face fell. "The 7th Fleet is 3 weeks away. The border guard says they cannot spare any ships. The Trade Federation—" She stopped talking. "What about the Trade Federation?" "They say we are outside their protection zone. They will not help." Veltar felt his hope dying. 3 weeks was too long. The Vrak would be here in less than 2 days. Even if every ship in the sector came to help, they would arrive to find only empty buildings and dead bodies. Captain Thexil walked over to them. "I have counted our defenses," he said. "We have 6 orbital weapon platforms. They are old and weak. We have 12 patrol ships. They are meant for chasing pirates, not fighting a war." "How long can we hold them off?" Veltar asked. Thexil was quiet for a moment. "Maybe 1 hour, maybe less." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. 1 hour was not enough time to evacuate 50,000 people. Their transport ships could carry maybe 5,000 at most. That left 45,000 people with nowhere to go. "We have to try," Veltar said finally. "Start the evacuation. Children and elderly first. Then the essential workers." "What about the rest of us?" asked Kala. Veltar did not answer. There was no good answer to give. Over the next few hours, chaos spread through the colony. People ran through the streets carrying whatever they could take with them. The transport ships filled up quickly. Families were torn apart as parents put their children on ships, knowing they might never see them again. Veltar stood in the control room, watching the evacuation. Every few minutes, Kala would give him updates on their calls for help. Each update was the same. No one was coming. No one could help them in time. "Sir," Thexil said, "I'm reading something strange on the long-range sensors." Veltar walked over to look at the screen. There was something moving in space, but it was far away, too far to be the Vrak fleet. "What is it?" he asked. "I don't know. The readings are unusual. Whatever it is, it's big, bigger than anything in our database. Is it coming toward us?" "Hard to tell. The energy readings keep changing. It might be damaged." Veltar stared at the screen. A new ship meant either more trouble or possible help. Right now, he was not sure which would be worse. The hours passed slowly. More people left on transport ships. The orbital platforms powered up their weapons, even though everyone knew they would not last long. The patrol ships formed up in a defensive line that looked brave but was really just for show. Night fell on the colony. In the darkness, the lights of the city looked beautiful and peaceful. It was hard to believe that in less than 24 hours, all of it might be gone. Veltar had not slept. He stayed in the control room, watching the sensors and hoping for a miracle. The unknown ship was still out there, moving closer but very slowly. "New contact," Thexil announced. "The Vrak fleet is dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system." On the main screen, dozens of red dots appeared. The Vrak ships were huge and dark, built for war and destruction. They moved in perfect formation toward the planet. "Time until they reach us?" Veltar asked. 6 hours. 6 hours. That was all the time they had left. Veltar looked around the control room at his people. They were scared, but they were still working. They would fight to the end, even knowing they could not win. "Keep tracking that unknown ship," he ordered. "If it's going to help us, we need to know." But deep down, Veltar knew that help was not coming. They were alone, and the Vrak were coming for them all. The UES Defiance moved through space like a wounded giant. Its hull was scarred from battles fought in the dark between galaxies. Strange lights flickered along its sides where alien weapons had burned through the armor. But the ship was still alive, still dangerous. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, reading reports on a small screen. His face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. Behind him, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. They had been in space for 8 months, far from home, fighting things that had no names. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Ben Hayes from the communications station, "I'm picking up a distress signal." Jake looked up from his reports. "What kind of signal?" "It's coming from a mining colony. They say they're under attack by something called the Vrak. The signal is weak, but I can make out most of it." Jake stood up and walked over to the communications station. "Let me hear it." The voice that came through the speakers was alien, but the fear in it was easy to understand. The being was asking for help, begging for someone to save his people. Jake had heard calls like this before, during the war with the machines beyond the rim. "How far away?" he asked. 2 days at current speed," answered Commander Lisa Park from the navigation station. She was a small woman with dark hair and quick hands. "But sir, we're low on supplies. Our mission orders say to return to Earth immediately." Jake was quiet for a moment. He looked around the bridge at his crew. They were good people who had followed him into hell and back. They deserved to go home and see their families again, but 50,000 people were about to die. "Chief Rodriguez," Jake called to the engineering station, "what's our weapons status?" Sam Rodriguez looked up from his screens. He was a big man with grease on his hands and worry in his eyes. "Main guns are at 80%. Point defense is good. The new gravity bombs are untested but should work. Why do you ask, sir?" "Because we might need them." Lisa turned around in her chair. "Jake, we can't fight a whole fleet. We're one ship." "One human ship," Jake said quietly. "That makes a difference." He walked back to his command chair and sat down. The Defiance had been built with technology learned from fighting the machines. Weapons that could crack planets. Shields that bent space itself. Engines that could outrun light. Most importantly, it had a human crew. "Set course for the colony," Jake ordered. "Maximum speed." "Sir," Lisa said, "are you sure about this?" Jake looked at her. "Would you want someone to leave you to die?" Lisa was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "Course set. We'll be there in 36 hours. The Defiance turned toward the colony and accelerated. Its engines burned brighter as Chief Rodriguez pushed them past safe limits. The ship had been damaged in the fights beyond the rim, but it was still the most powerful weapon humanity had ever built. On the bridge, the crew prepared for battle. Lieutenant Hayes tried to contact the colony to tell them help was coming. Lisa calculated approach vectors and battle formations. Sam worked on the weapons systems, making sure every gun would fire when needed. Jake sat in his chair and thought about the enemy they were going to face. The Vrak were unknown to him, but he had heard similar stories before. Raiders who attacked the weak and took what they wanted, bullies who thought strength was everything. They were about to learn something new. "Sir," Hayes called out, "I'm getting more information about the Vrak from the colony's database. They're a warrior race. They've conquered 17 systems in the last 5 years. No one has ever beaten them in battle. No one human has ever fought them," Jake corrected. The hours passed slowly as the Defiance raced toward the colony. The crew worked and rested in shifts, preparing for what was coming. Jake walked through the ship, talking to his people. In the weapons bay, gunners checked their targeting systems. In engineering, Sam's team made sure every system was ready. The ship itself seemed to sense the coming battle. The lights hummed with power. The engines sang their deep song of contained fire. Along the hull, weapon ports opened like hungry mouths. "Captain," Lisa called from her station, "we're picking up the Vrak fleet on long-range sensors. 36 ships, just like the colony said. They're big, heavily armed, standard formation for planetary assault." Jake studied the tactical display. The Vrak ships looked mean and brutal, designed to intimidate as much as to fight. They moved in a tight group toward the planet, confident and slow. "What do you think?" he asked Lisa. "They're not expecting a fight," she said. "Look at their formation. It's meant for attacking a planet, not fighting other ships. They think they're safe." "Good. That gives us an advantage. 1 ship against 36 is still bad odds," Sam said from engineering. "Not for us," Jake replied. "They don't know what we can do. They've never fought humans before." The Defiance continued its approach. Soon they would drop out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Soon, the real fight would begin. Jake thought about his crew, his ship, and the people they were going to save. The Vrak thought they were coming to an easy conquest. They thought no one would stand against them. They were wrong. "All stations, prepare for combat," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "We're going to show these raiders what happens when they threaten innocent people. We're going to show them what humans do to bullies." The bridge crew looked at their captain with confidence. They had followed him through the dark spaces between galaxies. They had fought impossible battles and won. Now they would do it again. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace like a bolt of lightning striking the darkness. The real battle was about to begin. Warlord Gazak stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Bloodfang, and smiled. Below him on the planet's surface, he could see the lights of the mining colony. 50,000 new slaves waited for him there, along with valuable metals and equipment. The conquest was going exactly as planned. His fleet of 36 warships had surrounded the planet. The colony's pathetic defenses had lasted only minutes against his assault. A few old orbital platforms and some patrol ships were no match for Vrak military might. "Status report," Gazak growled to his weapons officer. "The orbital defenses are destroyed, Warlord. The patrol ships have retreated to the planet's atmosphere. We are ready to begin landing operations." Gazak nodded. It was always the same. The weak races of the galaxy put up a small fight, then ran away when they realized they could not win. Soon his troops would be on the ground, rounding up prisoners and looting the colony. "Sir," called out the sensor operator, "I'm detecting a new ship at the edge of the system." Gazak turned to look at the main display. A single red dot had appeared far from the battle. "What kind of ship?" "Unknown, sir. The design doesn't match anything in our database. It's big." Gazak studied the display. 1 ship against his entire fleet was not a threat. Probably some merchant vessel that had jumped into the system by mistake. "Ignore it. Continue with the landing operation." But the unknown ship was not running away. Instead, it was moving toward them, accelerating fast. "Sir," the communications officer said, "the unknown ship is broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it on the main speakers." A human voice filled the command deck. The words were in standard galactic language, but the accent was strange. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth ship Defiance. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from this system, or we will consider you hostile." The bridge crew looked at each other in confusion. Gazak started laughing. "Did this fool just threaten us? 1 ship against 36? "What are your orders, Warlord?" asked the weapons officer. "Destroy it," Gazak said. "Show these humans what happens when they interfere with the Vrak." On the planet below, Veltar watched his screens in amazement. The unknown ship had finally arrived, and it was challenging the entire Vrak fleet. Either its captain was insane or incredibly brave. "Are they really going to fight?" asked Kala. "It looks that way," Veltar replied. He wanted to hope, but one ship could not possibly defeat an entire fleet. Still, maybe it would buy them time to evacuate more people. Captain Thexel worked at his station, trying to get better sensor readings on the human ship. "I'm getting some strange data," he said. "This ship is using technology I've never seen before. Its energy output is enormous." "Bigger than a Vrak battleship?" Veltar asked. "Bigger than all of them combined." On the Bloodfang, Warlord Gazak ordered half his fleet to engage the human ship. 18 warships turned away from the planet and formed an attack formation. They were massive vessels, each one capable of destroying a city. The human ship continued its approach, moving faster than should be possible for something its size. It was sleek and dark, covered in scars that spoke of previous battles. "Range to target?" Gazak asked. 50,000 kilometers in closing. The ship is not slowing down. Fire when ready." The Vrak ships opened fire with everything they had. Plasma cannons sent streams of superheated gas across space. Missile launchers spat out dozens of warheads. Energy beams lanced out like fingers of death. All of it struck the human ship dead center. When the light faded, the ship was still there, still coming. Its shields had absorbed the entire attack without even flickering. "Impossible," whispered the weapons officer. Gazak stared at the display in shock. No ship could survive that kind of firepower. But the human vessel had not even slowed down. Now it was the humans' turn to fire. The Defiance opened up with weapons the Vrak had never seen before. Railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speed, punching through ship hulls like they were made of paper. Plasma cannons burned hotter than stars, melting armor in seconds. Energy beams phased through shields as if they were not there at all. But the worst were the gravity bombs. These strange weapons reached out across space and grabbed Vrak ships with invisible hands. The ships crumpled like tin cans as gravity went wild around them. 2 warships were crushed into balls of twisted metal. A third was stretched apart until it broke in half. In less than a minute, 5 Vrak ships were destroyed. "How?" Gazak demanded. "How is this possible?" His crew had no answers. They stared at their screens as the human ship danced between their remaining vessels. It moved like a living thing, dodging attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. The Defiance was not just surviving the battle, it was winning. "All ships, converge on the enemy," Gazak ordered. "Surround it. Use ramming speed if necessary." But the human ship was too fast and too smart. It struck at the Vrak formation like a knife, cutting through their lines and destroying ships one by one. Every shot it fired found its target. Every move it made was perfect. Captain Morrison's voice came over the radio again, calm and cold. "You came here to hurt innocent people. Now you deal with us." Gazak watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart. These humans fought like demons, showing no mercy and taking no prisoners. Ship after ship fell to their impossible weapons. "Warlord," his communications officer said, "we're receiving surrender offers from 6 of our captains." "No surrender," Gazak roared. "We are Vrak. We do not run from anyone." But even as he said it, he knew they were beaten. This single human ship had destroyed more than half his fleet in less than an hour. If they stayed to fight, none of them would live to tell the tale. The unknown humans had appeared from nowhere and changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same. The space around Kepler 442b had become a graveyard. Pieces of destroyed Vrak ships drifted in the darkness like metal tombstones. The remaining enemy vessels tried to retreat, but Captain Jake Morrison was not done with them yet. "Lisa, track those fleeing ships," he ordered. "I want firing solutions on all of them." Commander Lisa Park worked quickly at her station. Her fingers danced over the controls as she calculated attack vectors. Got them, Jake. 12 ships trying to reach hyperspace. They won't make it. The Defiance turned and accelerated after the retreating Vrak fleet. Its engines burned bright blue in the darkness, pushing the ship faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. Warlord Gazak stood on his damaged bridge and watched the human ship pursue them. Half his fleet was gone. The other half was running for their lives. It was the first time in his career that he had been defeated in battle. How long until we can jump to hyperspace? He demanded. 3 minutes, Warlord, replied his navigation officer. But the human ship will catch us before then. Then we fight to the end, Gazak growled. Turn the fleet around. If we're going to die, we die as warriors. The remaining Vrak ships formed a desperate battle line. They had nowhere to run and nothing to lose. Their weapons charged up for one final attack. I still cannot believe what you did, Veltar said. His blue skin seemed to glow in the station's lights. One ship against an entire fleet. In all my years, I have never seen anything like it. Jake Morrison looked tired, but satisfied. His uniform was clean, but his eyes showed the strain of the past few days. We did what anyone should do. We helped people who needed help. But your technology, Veltar continued. Your weapons, your shields. Where did it all come from? The Galactic Council has nothing that could match what we saw. Jake was quiet for a moment. He looked out the window at his ship, where human and alien repair crews worked side by side. We learned the hard way that the universe is not a safe place. We met things out there that made us realize we needed to be stronger. Things? What kind of things? The kind that make the Vrak look like children playing with toys. Veltar felt a chill run through him. The Vrak were the most feared warriors in known space. What could possibly be worse than them? Down in the ship's engineering section, Chief Sam Rodriguez worked alongside a team of Corvin technicians. The insect-like aliens watched in amazement as he repaired systems they did not understand. This metal, clicked Captain Thexel, pointing at the ship's hull. What is it made of? Sam wiped grease from his hands and smiled. It's a composite we developed during the war. Carbon nanotubes woven with exotic matter. Makes it stronger than anything you guys have, and about half the weight. Thexel's forearms moved over the hull plating, feeling its texture. And these weapons systems. Railguns use magnetic fields to fire metal slugs at a significant fraction of light speed. Plasma cannons focus hydrogen fusion into a beam. The gravity bombs. Sam paused. Well, those are classified, but they work by bending space-time. You can bend space itself. Kid, where we come from, bending space is basic physics. You should see what our scientists are working on now. In the station's medical bay, Commander Lisa Park sat with a young Zephyrian doctor named Kess. The alien was treating human crew members who had been injured in the battle. Your people heal very quickly, Kess observed as she worked on a sailor's broken arm, much faster than any species I know. We've had to adapt, Lisa replied. The things we fought beyond the galactic rim didn't give us much time to recover between battles. You keep mentioning this war beyond the rim. What happened out there? Lisa looked out the window at the stars. We found out we're not alone in the universe, and not everything out there is friendly. Back in the conference room, Veltar was asking the question that had been burning in his mind since the battle ended. Will your people join the Galactic Council? With your technology and military power, you could bring peace to many systems. Jake Morrison leaned back in his chair. We'll consider it. But you need to understand something about humans. We don't join things as junior members. We tend to take charge. That might not be a bad thing, Veltar said. The Council has been weak for too long. The Vrak have been raiding outer systems for years, and no one has stopped them. Until now. Yes, until now. But word of this battle will spread. Every pirate and warlord in the galaxy will want to test themselves against your ships. Jake smiled grimly. Let them come. We need the practice. Over the next few hours, Jake gave Veltar a basic overview of human history and technology. He talked about Earth, about the colonies humans had built in their home system, about the exploration missions that had taken them beyond the galactic rim. But he was careful not to reveal too much. Humanity was new to galactic politics, and they needed time to understand how things worked before they committed to anything. "There is one more thing," Jake said as their meeting was ending. "The things we fought out there, beyond the rim, they're not gone. We hurt them, maybe stopped them for a while, but they'll be back." "What are they?" "We called them the Devourers, machines that eat entire star systems. They've been quiet for a few months, but our long-range sensors are picking up movement in the dark spaces between galaxies." Veltar felt his blood turn cold. "How long do we have?" "Maybe a year, maybe 5. They move slowly, but when they arrive, they'll bring everything they have." "And you think your people can stop them?" Jake Morrison stood up and looked out at his ship. The repairs were almost finished. Soon they would head home to Earth with news of first contact and a warning about what was coming. "We stopped them before," he said. "But next time, we won't be fighting alone. The galaxy needs to get ready for war." As the UES Defiance prepared to leave the system, word of the battle was already spreading across the galaxy. The Vrak survivors had told their story to anyone who would listen. A new power had appeared, one that could destroy entire fleets with a single ship. Some species were afraid, others were excited, but everyone understood that the galaxy had changed forever. The age of easy conquest was over. The age of humanity had begun. In the weeks that followed, merchant ships carried the story to every system. The humans had arrived, and they were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were warriors and protectors, builders and destroyers. Most importantly, they were no longer alone. The first contact between humanity and the galactic community had been written in fire and victory. What came next would shape the future of every living being in known space. The stars themselves seemed to burn brighter, as if they knew that something new and powerful had awakened in the darkness between worlds.